Hey guys, I'm back, and I just wanted to make this video to basically say thank you to several people and others that have really helped me through a lot of things that I've been going through over the past couple of years. One of the main people that I want to thank is Rosie ODonnell, and a lot of people have their opinions about her. She's quite outspoken. She definitely will say what's on her mind, and of course, the second you have an opinion, you lose some of your audience. And I know that for myself. I mean, there's things that I say that anger people. There's things that, topics I'll go on that don't interest other people, and they become upset, and I'll get emails, over it on a much smaller scale, I'm sure, than what, she does. But a lot of you know me from making the Benzo Withdrawal Welcome to Hell video, which I will post a link to below. Um, in August of 2009, I finally felt well enough after that experience that took quite a long time and really took my health away, and still I'm not 100%, back from what that drug did to me. And you can watch that video if you haven't already. But at the time I had posted it, and shortly after, Rosie O'Donnell posted that on her blog, and that was a major turning point for a lot of my videos and for people who were suffering through that withdrawal. Now, whether she completely understood exactly what happened or that it was as commonplace as what I had experienced, basically, if it was common to other people, she still posted it on her blog. And within 1 hour, that video got over 3,000 views. And it really allowed other people to see it who had been through it, whose parents had been through it, or sons, daughters had been through what I went through. And that allowed them also to post that video on their blogs. So basically, from her, a lot of people saw that video, shared it with other people, and it really got the ball rolling. And now you can go on Google and you can search that video, and over 500,000 results come up from it. I still get emails daily, almost daily, 10 to 12 emails from new people that are going through the same thing, and it's gotten to the point where so much where I can't always keep up. So I always direct them to benzowithdrawal.com, and if they're having a problem with antidepressants, I send them to paxilprogress.org. At the time, Rosie had commented that she'd like to meet me, and I was in no place, to do that. Still a lot of anxiety, not like my normal anxiety, but a lot of anxiety caused by that drug. And my body was still in a very weakened state. And so what I ended up doing was not really responding to it. I got emails from people saying, I called her program director, and I think his name was Chad or something, or not, maybe not her program director, but the call person who answered at her radio show. And he was interested. He said, well, have him call me, have him call me. And I just never did. I was never really, up until recently, I was not in a place to even speak with her or anyone else about that subject. A lot of times I would make videos and then I would have to go lay down. And so it's like I can seem cheery on here, but once the camera stops, I'm not so great all the time. But I really did appreciate, her doing that. Some other people that have really been in my life, almost like a perfect match, some of them. One, which I'm not going to give out full names so people can't track you down, but Rich in Chicago. I rarely talk to anybody on the phone, and I rarely have that kind of trust for anyone. And we can talk for 2 and 3 hours, and it flies by. And it's amazing the same symptoms that you and I both go through, and same treatments from doctors, and same fears, concerns. And I just really appreciate your friendship. There is Jason in Sacramento, and we match in a completely different way, but we have shared our ups and downs and our concerns, our hobbies, things that we like to watch, um, just a lot of people, Jason in England who had sent me that card and who has the same anxiety disorder that I have. So many other people. If I'm not mentioning you, believe me, I'm not forgetting you. I'm not. And it's just really been nice to speak to people who get me. And it's not something common, as I'm sure in your lives, it is not something common for you just to be able to say to your friend, hey, I feel this way, and for them to say, oh yeah, I get it. Most of the time it's like, oh, we just have to snap out of it, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You know, you go to doctors even, and it's not completely understood. It's like, here's your pill, back out the door. And it's just nice to know that you're not the only one. And when I first started doing videos, and believe me, I'm no one. You know, I just one day sat down in front of a camera, and any of you can do this. I just wanted other people to know you are not alone. And what happened with me is I was back in 2008, very early 2008. I started looking for videos on agoraphobia, and there was some on Google. There was information, but it's all that mainstream information of it's this and this and this, and treatment it's this and this and this, but there wasn't a whole lot of stories from people. There was some. I mean, there definitely was before me. I can think of two different girls who were posting videos at the time. And it just inspired me to think, okay, I feel embarrassed by sitting in front of this camera. I feel stupid for expressing my life. What will people think? How will they judge me? How do I look on camera? And I just, at some point, I don't care anymore how I look. How do I sound? I don't care. What I care about is the fact that it's such something that's lived in silence, and I don't want it to be like that. I want people to say, I have this and it's treated as a real illness. Or I took this medication, this happened to me, it's real, it's not made up. When it comes to those medications, a lot of times I get emails how much it helped them and how much when they came off, you know, they had no problem. And that's great. You know, I am not expecting everyone who takes those medications to come off and have those side effects, or anyone who takes those medications to swallow the first pill and have a side effect. That's not my point. The point always was, this is what happened to me. And I'm not the only one. I almost lost my life over a side effect to this drug. And doctors acted as if it did not happen. And there is nothing in the pharmaceutical literature, because believe me, I have checked, that lists what I went through and what many other people have went through. And so the problem is this. If that was to happen to you, God forbid, you go to a doctor and you'd want them to say, oh, that's rare, but it can happen, and therefore we will do this for you now. Or in about a year, unfortunately, you're going to feel a little bit better than you do now. We don't know why it happens. That's acceptable, but instead you get, that doesn't happen. It's your anxiety. It's this or that. And that is a major problem, because there is lots of people suffering with many different things, and doctors are, you know, closing them out. You know, actually one person I just thought of was Chronically Kylie, which her and I don't talk a lot. I watch her videos. We've emailed a little bit. She gets a lot of her own emails, so she doesn't always, you know, get back to me. But she has POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. This is something that I may have. It has not been stated by a doctor yet. Of course, everyone with POTS have watched my videos of my heart rate, and they're like, you have POTS, you really should get a tilt table test. And where I'm living, it's just not happening right now. I'm working towards that. But again, it's a syndrome, which means it's not a disease. It's usually caused by other things. But that's neither here nor there. But you know, she went to the Mayo Clinic in Florida, which is where she lives now, and she had awful treatment by some doctors in the emergency room. And they just said, oh, you're depressed. You know, that's what they said to her. And even though she had tests that showed that her hormones are all out of whack, you know, she's definitively been diagnosed with POTS. And yet, they still want to treat people with, you're just crazy. There is so much more that's going on. Sometimes people are depressed because they feel so sick. That doesn't mean that there's not real depression. For example, I mean, I don't know her personally, I don't know her whole story, but Rosie ODonnell has depression. Now, for her, it's a struggle. It's probably not another underlying illness causing her depression. But for many people it is, and that's the danger. You go to a doctor's office, you say, I feel this way, I feel so sad. And instead of them saying, well, when did you start feeling sad? Or let's do some blood work, or let's check your thyroid, or let's do a couple things first and make sure this is only what it is. They say, yep, here's some Paxil, you'll be fine. And then these people get sicker, and then it's blamed on them. No, that drug doesn't do that, or no, but for all we know, whatever illness they really do have could be interacting with the medication causing a problem, and it's not their fault. And it's like almost like you just want people to just listen sometimes. Just listen to what I'm saying. I may not be a doctor, I may not know all the technical terms, but I know my body. And that's the most important thing. You know your body. You can have the most horrible anxiety attacks all the time for decades. And then you have a new type of anxiety attack. And so you go to your doctor and say, yeah, I've always had anxiety, but this is what's happening now. And they're just like, oh, it's your anxiety. And they push you off. And that's not cool. It's dangerous. You know, they always say on TV and on radio or wherever you hear it, you've heard it all before. Get diagnosed early. You know, it's always better to get diagnosed with something sooner rather than later. And I think a lot of us are going to doctors saying, I'm sick, I don't know what's wrong, here's my symptoms. They don't listen to half the symptoms you're telling them, and they're brushing you out the door. Fran Drescher, I think I'm saying that right, the one who played the nanny. You know, she was sick for a while before they found her cancer. And they were saying, oh, you have restless leg syndrome. You know, you have the breasts of an 18-year-old, you're getting too much spinach, not enough fiber, have some gin before you go to bed. I mean, very ridiculous things. And then it was her sister who, I believe Nadine, who was a nurse, that finally said, there's something wrong with you, go back to a doctor. And that's when they found it. And thankfully, you know, she's still alive. And, you know, she has her organization, Cancer Schmancer, and which is funny to say, but she has that going, and she's helping other people, you know, with cancer at this time. But it seems that too much were really brushed out the door. But basically the whole point of this video was just, you know, thank you to Rosie ODonnell and to everyone who talks to me, you know, on Facebook and emails. It keeps me sane. If I'm keeping you sane, great, but you're keeping me sane. And just, you know, continue. Don't let me be the only voice. I always tell people, and some of you have, and I'm so excited. You have told your story about benzo withdrawal or side effects from antidepressants. You have gotten on the computer and said, well, I'll try to make a video about agoraphobia. Maybe you only made one, you never did it again, but that's great because you're not, you know, that video sits there and they're not just watching me, they're watching you and they're watching everyone else's experience. So it's not like I'm the only person sitting here saying, oh, I feel this way. And they're like, well, I kind of do too, but who are you? You know, you don't know me. So if you have like 100 people sitting there saying the same thing, you're like, oh, okay, that happened to me too. I can relate. This is what they did. Maybe it'll help me too. Maybe this is what I can say to my doctor. Maybe this is the kind of doctor I can find. Just, it points you in a direction, and that's really what's the most important thing. But other than that, that's it for today, and I will talk to you all soon. But a lot of you know me from making the Benzo Withdrawal Welcome to Hell video, which I will post a link to below. In August of 2009, I finally felt well enough after that experience that took quite a long time and really took my health away, and still I'm not 100%, you know, back from what that drug did to me. And definitely will say what's on her mind. And of course, the second you have an opinion, you lose some of your audience. And I know that for myself. I mean, there's things that I say that anger people. There's things that, you know, topics I'll go on that don't interest other people, and they become upset, and I'll get emails, you know, over it on a much smaller scale, I'm sure, than what, you know, she does. Hey guys, I'm back, and I just wanted to make this video to basically say thank you to several people and others that have really helped me through a lot of things that I've been going through over the past couple of years. One of the main people that I want to thank is Rosie ODonnell, and a lot of people have their opinions about her. She's quite outspoken. You can watch that video if you haven't already, but at the time I had posted it, and shortly after, Rosie ODonnell posted that on her blog, and that was a major turning point for a lot of my videos and for people who were suffering through that withdrawal. Now, whether she completely understood exactly what happened, or that it was as commonplace as what I had experienced, basically, if it was common to other people, she still posted it on her blog. And within 1 hour, that video got over 3,000 views. And it really allowed other people to see it who had been through it, whose parents had been through it, or sons, daughters.